Whoa. Okay. Yeah, so you can hear me now, Pat, right?
I can hear you for sure. And I turned my volume down a little to match, so
Yeah,
we should
great.
be close.
Well, I had the volume up on YouTube, and it was like super distracting. I guess we should go ahead and start the show then, right, Pat?
I think so. I think it's a good plan, Jeremy.
All right. Welcome to Creativity, the podcast where art and engineering collide. I'm your host, Jeremy Cook, along with Pat Regan, who's here today. How you doing, Pat?
I'm doing all right. That's me.
Yeah, and Creativity podcast where art and engineering collide. We discuss everything from art to engineering to life in general and just whatever we come up with. Our as you notice, we don't have a guest today. Actually, we might have a few people that are scheduled to stop by, which is really exciting. But the guests today are actually, in fact, you. You could be the guest. The link's up on YouTube, correct, Pat?
This is true. It should be. I looked, and it looks like it's there.
Okay,
But
so
if you click that link, you will hop into our little app here that does its live streaming for us, and I'll see you in the waiting room here, and we'll figure out what to do from there.
I'll see you in the waiting room. Is that a threat, Pat?
It's a threat. I will see you in the waiting room.
Yeah, for better or worse, I guess. So
Yes.
yeah, I guess Pat will monitor that, and maybe I can see it too. I don't even know. It's the first time we've actually done this. So
It's true. This is all new to us.
first time we've done it using Riverside.fm, which we're not sponsored by them. I suppose if every podcast that wanted to, wanted free stuff, they wouldn't make any profit, right? So
It's true. You can't. Not everybody can get free stuff.
Yeah.
Free podcasting stuff. It just wouldn't work.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, today, I guess, one of our subjects, though, we were going to talk about selling on Tindie, and, for me, especially just trying to keep stuff in stock. That's been a real challenge for me. Yeah. So Pat, one thing, how long have you been selling on Tindie? And Tindie, for those that don't know, you want to explain what Tindie is, Pat?
I'll tell you, I did a good job I thought I did a good job researching my past on Tindie, but I don't know when I actually started. But our friend Jasmine from Tindie is in the waiting room right now. Should I?
Well, she's the perfect person to explain Tindie because she is actually the head person at Tindie, right? So
Is that true?
She's the one that tells me what to do there. I've actually written for their blog for quite a while, so if she's not,
Jeremy's boss is in the waiting room. We should probably let her in.
Yeah.
So Jeremy's boss. We're getting
some
some YouTube feedback from somewhere.
Jasmine, you should
that
probably
might be me.
go
Wait.
ahead and close out the YouTube window if you would.
I'm relieved. I thought I did it. I've been looking around for where I left a YouTube window because I've done
No,
that
it was
before.
Yeah. Well, Jasmine, it's great to see you. I've we've met in person, but it's been quite some time for obvious reasons these days. So
Yeah, it's nice to see both of you.
Yeah.
But I was just trying to look up to see when Pat was started on Tindie, actually.
Oh, I was curious too. I
should
thought I
say
did this research too because
So
I
funny.
checked how much I've sold and stuff, but I didn't check dates. I'm not that smart.
But, yeah,
Jasmine knows how to. I assume she knows just about. If anybody knows it, it would be Jasmine. I would
there's
assume.
probably more stuff that I've forgotten about it than I know now. But, it's been great to see Tindie grow.
Absolutely.
Tindie is so awesome.
So before we get into it, Jasmine, what is Tindie? We were kind of asking that question.
It's very much what it started out to be, is a marketplace where people can buy and sell electronics. Generally, it's for people that are creating things, and a lot of our sellers are people that have created electronics that they want to use to solve a problem. And then other people have also realized that this is a useful tool as well. But it tends to be very small batch electronics.
Right.
Yep.
And the Tindie, I guess that's like what's it? Indie electronics, right? I know
Yeah.
you've explained this to me before, but
I think that's where the original people that set it up. I think that's where it came from.
okay, yeah. And Tindie is a dog, correct? That's the mascot,
It is a
right?
dog, and I got a dog recently, and she's decided to go nuts. Come here.
Uh-oh.
Come here. No, she's not playing Manasu. But
She doesn't want to be our friend.
Well, do you still, when we were, Jasmine and I were at a Maker Faire not many years ago, but a couple years ago, and you actually had a blow up Tindie dog, right? Do you still have that around somewhere?
that's still in the office. So yeah, it's been on a few excursions before COVID happened, and it's definitely been got up to some adventures at various like electronics after parties and things like that.
Oh, sure. Well, I hear it was fairly expensive to make for what it is.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
it was a bit of a folly.
it was.
But we've definitely got a repair kit for it.
Yeah, but I mean that's okay. You put it on the Tindie jet with you guys, and when you fly to different areas, right?
When we fly first class.
First class.
Oh,
you go commercial now. That's kind of a cut for you. Did you figure out how long Pat has been a seller on Tindie? Oh, look at that. Is that Tindie? Did you
that's
name
the
what is?
rascal that's trying to bite my toes right now.
I have to look around
it
my
says that
mic to
Pat's-
find out.
It says Pat has had 155 orders since February the 11th, 2016. Does that sound right?
2016. Oh my goodness. I totally believe that.
Wow.
I absolutely believe that.
And what do you sell, Pat? Exactly.
Well, I sell. Oh, I have a prop for something else, and it's one of the things that I sell. And I tell everybody not to buy these. I can't get this component off of it though. Here, I sell these breadboard vices. They're little spring-loaded. You can put like an Arduino or a Raspberry Pi in each of these arms here. So you don't. We used to have trouble where you'd put a breadboard down, you'd put some. Hey, that's my store. Look at that. Yeah, you used to have trouble. You'd put an Arduino down, and all the DuPont cables would just. You try to pick your project up and move it, and it wants to just dance around. And
it's amazing how great Arduinos are, but then it's like you've got all these wires going everywhere, and it's like it's great up to a point, but then at some point it's like what's going on here? So
it's true.
So your product actually makes everything all in one and all portable and such, I guess.
Yep, but nobody buys these. Everybody buys. There's a thing that I have made out of their little carbon. It's the simplest thing. It's just two brackets with a piece of carbon fiber for a particular server chassis for a not a rack mount server, but a little NAS build, like a little case that holds 8 drives, and I sell a few of those almost every month.
Well, I mean, who doesn't like carbon fiber? I think that's kind of a.
Oh, it's delicious.
I think that's something that very few people in the engineering or electronic space wouldn't think is just awesome.
It is. It's way overkill for what it is, but it sounds cool, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a differentiating selling point.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Yeah, but I used to sell a lot of them when they were 3D printed, but boy, it takes a long time to 3D print one. I could cut them on the CNC out of carbon fiber in a few minutes, but it was a 2.5-3 hour print job to print.
And now thanks to Shiboko, your lungs are feeling a little bit better after.
They are. They were nice enough to send me the new dust boot so that I can stop inhaling carbon fiber dust. I shouldn't be doing that. It's very toxic.
Very toxic. Whoa.
What's her name, Jasmine?
This is Kuro. She's about 8 months old, and there's some intense ear licking that she enjoys doing every so often.
What a cute puppy. What kind of dog is it?
She's some kind of like terrier, chihuahua. She's not going to get much bigger. So
a puppy.
Yeah, nice. But she's going to stay that way forever.
We thought ours is part beagle, and we thought she'd stay pretty small, but she's about 60 pounds now. So
wow.
she's part Pyrenees as well, and part another dog that we don't really tell the neighbors about. So
now I have to know. But
her mom looked like a pit bull. I'll just say that. We really don't know, but you know how people are about that. They're
one of my friends has a dog that's a pit bull chihuahua mix. She's the sweetest thing. And they did a DNA test to find this out. She's 18% Chihuahua, according to the test. But she's real broad, real wide, but very short. She has the tiniest legs. It's adorable.
So one thing, Jasmine, with just thinking about like my, I've written for your blog for many years, and it's been great. I love being able to just, it's great. You surf people's stuff that they're selling, and you get to write about it. I guess the only bad thing about it is that I always feel like buying it, and that would really cut into my profit margins with you guys.
Definitely.
But all that being said, I started selling some more of my stuff more recently, and it's a little tiny thing. It's I call it a Easy Fan 2. It's like a fan control board for Raspberry Pis or really anything else. You can use it for any sort of load, but that's kind of the design. Lets you turn on the fans and off the fans. But the thing is, it's gotten like somewhat popular, and I found that it's kind of hard to figure out a balance between ordering, say like 1,000 of these or just running out of stock. I wonder if you had any advice about that, Jasmine.
Well, it definitely depends on, it depends on the different products and also the cost and the units and your margins, essentially. There are, in the US, there are definitely places where you can get them produced, but they'll end up being much more expensive. And also it depends on like how much, when people start out, quite often they're hand soldering things or assembling a few parts themselves. And obviously when they scale up, they don't really want to do that, so they can choose whether they want to do kits or whether they want to outsource the assembly. But in terms of it does depend on how much you want to start shipping things and how much your margins are and whether it's worth that to you. It's one of the main things.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess it's an interesting learning experience. I think I started doing this, and I started with one that was through-hole components, did a few of those, started selling them, and then I thought I could make one even smaller with surface mount components, and that was pretty cool. And then at some point, as you said, I decided I didn't really like soldering everyone up when they order it. The profit margins were okay, but not enough, not enough to really justify me being in the garage all day or whatever. So I ordered 20 of these from China and got here great. And all of a sudden I sell out like really fast. And now I'm waiting on 50 more. And I guess the fear always is, you order that big package of parts and then it's like nobody's going to buy it at that point. I guess that's the fear. But
this is what I think every time I order a few more sheets of carbon fiber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a thing with Tindie that people can sign up to your wait list, but the longer you leave it, the more the wait list will go stale.
Yep.
And so if you're only waiting, if you're out of stock for a few weeks, then that's fine. You'll probably still get quite a high percentage of uptake when the email goes out to say that it's back in stock. But if you leave it we've had sellers who've left it for like 2 years, and then they're like, I had 150 people on this list and only one person has bought it. So it's like, well, it's been a little while now. They might have either, moved on to a different project or found something else that would fix the problem.
Sure.
So
150, really, that's pretty amazing.
We're trying to go through and make it so that after a certain period of time, that out of stock products will kind of remind the sellers to say, are you definitely getting more stock in this? Can you let us know when you're going to get stock? So that also, because it's frustrating for customers as well.
Yeah. No, it's frustrating for everyone. I mean, it's true though. If let's say I sell this thing for Raspberry Pi and people get on my wait list, and then 2 years later, let's just say everybody's using something else. I mean, then, I imagine Raspberry Pi will be around in 2 years, but you really never know. Something else could have come along, or.
And also customers end up messaging us saying, I can't remember signing up for this email. That's the other thing that happens.
Yeah.
Spamming me. So.
In case you want some more input, I talked to Spencer Owen actually at RC 2014. Is he the highest grossing Tindie seller? He's pretty high up there, right? Or he's
in the top 5.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's none of anybody else's business. I don't know, but he does well enough that it's his full-time job. And so I asked him about that. Asked him kind of about this problem of keeping stuff in stock, whatever. And he actually did a pretty nice reply back to me. He said that aside from PCBs, very few of my components. Oh, there you go. Back can even put it on.
Yep.
Very few of his components have single use. So even if one product isn't selling high volumes, most of the components will be used in other products. For those parts, I'll typically order lots of, which takes away the anxiety of getting hold of more and works out cheaper with volume discounts. He also says he tries to avoid designing inexpensive parts with long lead times. He doesn't mind expensive parts if he knows he can buy a few parts to start with and get some really quickly, like in a day or two. I think that's good points, of course. He says ESPA 266 from China, for example, take about 3 to 4 weeks to get here, but he was happy to order a bunch of these to start with because worst case scenario was that I was only down a few dollars and I have a pile of ESPs for other stuff, which I think makes total sense. I mean, one thing, just thinking about this, I made the other thing I've made that hasn't quite sold as well. I call it the Grounduino, and it was something I came up with because I really, you make things with the Arduino Nano, and you always end up running out of grounds and you power pins and whatever else. It's like, I really need a board to do that. I buy it, order 20, basically for my own use, put it on Tindie, and a few people have bought it, but not that many. But the thing is, if nobody ever buys it, I'll use them. So it's, I wonder how many people have that attitude. I guess that's a good attitude, probably.
Yeah, there's definitely a couple of sellers where I think they're probably doing things for their own projects, but also they're doing some contract small electronics. And what they'll often do is they'll put it up on Tindie, and if their first batch sells out, then they'll reorder another batch and gauge the popularity that way. And then the other thing that does for them is it builds up their catalog, and so there's more chance of them getting found when people do searches and that kind of thing. The other thing is that they have really good customer service. They're not necessarily the cheapest, but they really check things for quality control, and so people are prepared to buy from them because they're really reliable. And Spencer as well is one of the things that's wonderful about Spencer is that if we message him with a problem or a customer messages him with a problem, he kind of he does the best or fastest thing that he can do to get the right the working product back into the customer's hands as soon as possible.
Right.
And so he's only able to do that because he charges a reasonable amount of money. Stop it. Sorry.
Right. No, that's true. It's obviously if you're just kind of scraping the bottom, you can't afford to. I mean, I don't want to say you can't afford to give good service, but if you've got a 10% profit margin and each of your products requires a bit of a hassle, then it's going to be kind of a pain.
Yeah, Jeremy, you need a big enough margin that when things go lost in the mail or things just don't show up, things get broken, things don't show up right, you've got to be ready to.
Yeah. No, I
to not feel bad, not lose 4 orders worth of profit every time something goes wrong, right?
Yeah, that's
maybe
true.
Not 4. I made that number up. I don't know.
No, I get it, and that's why you even though you've sold more than $1,000. I mean, I don't know how I don't. Anyway, you've sold a decent amount of product, Pat. But on your listing, you say you shouldn't buy this. You should print it yourself, right?
I do. You should print it totally. Yeah, it's way cheaper to just print it yourself or find a friend that could 3D print it for you. I don't need to make the sale. You could. It's all the stuff I make is always open source, so I'd rather you go download it and make it. But some people don't want to. Some people are happy to pay a premium to not have to do the work, right?
That's quite the reverse psychology. Maybe that's some sort of thing. I don't know. Maybe I think I half jokingly thought, going through this thing, developing a product, selling it on Tindie, I was like, people getting their MBA should have to open up a Tindie store and, for experience.
Learn about supply and inventory control. And
strangely enough, we had maybe 16 products, all the same, submitted by 16 it's the same item, but made 16 different ways by 16 different people.
Oh, that's
And this happened
fascinating.
recently, and we were like, is this somebody, is this like a bot, or is this some kind of, turns out it was a class that the university or
Oh,
the course,
wow.
we haven't worked out which university or class it is, but the people seem to be from, some of them from the UK, and there's some other people, so it must be kind of a, like from other countries, so it must be kind of an online course or something. And we were like,
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think it's incredibly educational. Just because I remember, I worked in manufacturing for years and years, and I remember, them talking about, supply. Well, if you order too much, then it's a real penalty there. If you don't order enough, the penalty there too, and yada yada yada. Yeah, I didn't really think about it because I'm trying to design machinery and get it to run and stuff like that. But then, you move to a different role, and it's just interesting on a very small scale. But you could see the challenge that people, I don't know, you just see things from a different perspective. It's just kind of nice, I guess. Hey, Pat, do we have somebody waiting?
Oh, we just did. I was waiting for you to finish your sentence, and I was going to tell you that Kenny from Cloudfree was there,
Oh,
but he
no.
disappeared as soon as you were saying that.
Well,
I didn't want to
man.
interrupt your sentence to let him in.
No, I understand. Well, I'll
Oh,
ping
he's
him
coming
on.
back. Do you want to?
Oh,
Do you
yeah,
guys
well,
mind being on at the same time, Jasmine?
it's cool with Jasmine.
no,
Cool with me.
I'm still dealing with a dog being very vocal here, sorry.
Oh,
I apologize.
let's see what happens. This is new to me.
Hey, Kenny. Can you hear us?
Hi, Kenny.
Hey, how we doing?
Good. Well, it's great to see you. Great to meet you. We're here with Jasmine from Tindie, and it's Pat Regan. And I'm Jeremy. So it's glad you were able to make it. I understand
Yeah,
you had
lovely.
a calc test you just got done with, right?
I had a recitation, yeah, for finals next week, so that's exciting, right?
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Math class must have changed since I was in it. What do you have to do at a recitation? Pardon my ignorance here.
Basically, yeah, that's all right. So you have your lectures in a massive lecture hall, and then you go to recitation once a week to ask any small questions you have and take a quiz, and kind of a refresher, a chance to get more personal questions asked.
Oh, very very nice. And well, that's great. Where do you go to college, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, no, Purdue University
Oh,
here in Indiana.
that's a great school. So you're engineering major, I guess, or computer science?
Yep, computer engineering.
Computer engineering. Great.
I have a friend who went to Purdue. He has fantastic.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, he has fantastic stories about how they got. They tried to ask permission to send a. They wanted to send a weather balloon up with a rocket attached, in his rocketry
really?
club, I guess, and they asked. I always say they asked NASA. They didn't ask NASA for permission. It's not NASA that tells you this is okay. But a few weeks later, they created a new law that said no, you can't launch a rocket from a weather balloon. They wanted to get up an extra
that's
50 or
lame.
100,000 feet. I guess you could take pictures of some spy satellites or something up there. I don't know. I don't know the real reason,
Sounds
but it's a
neat.
fantastic story he tells.
Yeah. Well, it's too bad if see that's why universities on the coast. You can just drive out 7 miles and you can do whatever you want, right? So.
Yeah.
But Kenny, now you have a really, I mean, I'm a big fan myself. Your cloud-free products, right?
Well,
That's
thanks.
there you go.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, these are fantastic. I only have a handful so far. I'm trying to buy more.
Well, a whole lot of people are, and so I think I started looking into how I could possibly do this because I'm pretty new to the home automation game. It was probably early last year when I first started looking into Home Assistant and things of that nature. And I'd buy some plugs off the internet and try to 2U convert them, use that process to put Tasmota on them, so I don't have to deal with the 2U cloud. And I don't know, it was kind of fidgety, and you'd brick a plug every once in a while. It wasn't great. And so I got to looking on how to try to do international trade or things of that nature. And then in August, I was able to. I placed an order and had it sent to my apartment here, and I ran it out of the loft in my college apartment here for a little while. I had 1,000 of those little smart plugs up in the loft, and every day I'd throw them in the envelopes and slap the label on them and send them out.
They're adorable little boxes.
Look at that! You got the box. That's great, Pat. You need to save that. In a couple
I did.
years.
This one's empty.
Oh yeah, I guess you did. Well, that's great. How did you? So just to like step back a little bit, the home automation stuff. Basically these plugs that you get from Walmart or wherever else, they've got generally some sort of software that phones home to who knows where, and you have to be connected to the internet for it to work. And what you did, there's a process called Tuya Convert, which works or did work. I don't think it works really anymore too well.
Yeah, hit or miss.
But either way, it's just kind of a pain really. But you're basically what you did, you flashed these IoT switches with Tasmota firmware just out of the gate. So you plug them in, log onto it, and you're good to go. You've got your automation running, no cloud needed. Your internet goes out. You can still open your door. You can still open your garage. You can still do whatever you want. Right? Is that
exactly? Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
Yeah. So you did this, and you said this summer you somehow figured out how to source this all from China, I guess. And
Yep. So last year during the summertime, I had quite a bit of free time on my hands. There for a couple weeks. I couldn't go into. I work a summer job. Couldn't go in there for a little while, and so I managed to find a supplier. And just finding a supplier in the first place was a huge undertaking, because so many of them either, Alibaba. There's AliExpress where it's more consumer oriented, and then Alibaba is more for wholesale. So you go on there and they have different smart plugs listed, but some of the companies don't make them themselves. They're just kind of a middleman, and so many of them aren't willing to flash custom firmware for you. That's kind of a special ask, So, but I was able to find one eventually and work it out that they were willing to flash firmware for me so that I could take that off my plate, because I don't want to manually flash things. That's obnoxious, especially when I can have them do it when they manufacture it in the first place.
That's why we buy the switches from you, is so we don't have to do the work to flash them.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So now you get to push that back another step behind you.
Yeah, and it's great too. Like the. I mean, yes, Pat, if you want to hold up his the switch, I mean, it's such good quality too, and it's got a nice logo on the side. How'd you?
And a button.
And a button. I get that's good
exciting.
too.
Oh, yeah.
I can't find the button. There it is.
How'd you get the logo on it and stuff? I mean, it's like a totally. I assume that's like a stock design at some level, right? Or is it all?
Yeah. So the circular plug design is just something that my supplier had already put together. You can go on Amazon and find a million different of them. The logo I was able to get designed, and basically all you have to do is put it in a certain file format and send it to them, and they'll print it on there for you. Nothing too difficult.
Nice. So what it was just basically trying to go negotiate prices and supplier with this company in China to do that, right? I guess that must have taken a lot of research, and I guess you had to front some cash for all that too. Because 1,000, if you buy 1,000 of them, I'm sure you're spending more than $1,000.
A little bit scary. I've tuned in a little earlier and heard you talk about you order things and then you're worried that somebody's not going to buy them. That was one of my biggest concerns, putting that big of an investment into a project like this, because I wasn't entirely sure where it was going to go. It could have been a big money hole, but it did not turn out to be that way at all.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it's
very grateful.
Yeah, and the first time you order something from a supplier in China, you have no idea what you're actually going to pull out of that box.
Yeah, it's a little tough. I mean, they have ratings, but that only goes so far. Yeah.
And Pat, you're working on something you're possibly going to source from China at some point,
we are.
right?
I have one here somewhere.
Is that right?
Yeah, we're working on this electronics project here. These are RGB LEDs. This is sized to fit in a 5.25 inch, CD-ROM optical drive bay. Our new model has a third ring in the middle. We were worried this was too much juice when you lit these up, so we only did 2. But we've squeezed 3 on. It's been tough to get. my guy who's doing this, my friend, he's having a lot of trouble. He has a lot of vias that need to go in certain places, and when you put the third ring in the middle, you can't have the via where the LEDs are. He's got he's done a pretty good job that we're almost ready to order the 3 LED version.
Nice.
And we expect it. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, how many of these are you going to order initially?
Well, I ordered 10 for this first prototype batch. We didn't even know if they'd work. He's never done any of this before. And he wanted me to order the boards and surface mount all these components myself. And I don't even know how you would ever know if these 2mm LEDs, which way they're even facing. I can't imagine doing this by myself.
Yeah, that doesn't look like much fun.
But I'm happy to. I don't mind telling you the numbers. It was about $900 to get 10 boards made. But it gets a lot cheaper when you get up to 100 boards. It'll be reasonable.
I found a project, OtterCast. I don't know if you'd heard of it. It's Chromecast audio. I don't know if you've ever seen the little puck-sized things you can plug into speakers that they discontinued here recently. You can cast. You open your Spotify app or whatever, can cast audio.
Oh, like a Chromecast, like something
without
like that?
the video.
Without the video, it's just audio.
Okay.
But Google discontinued it, and some guys online made an open source project basically that is supposed to be a similar replacement to that. And so they posted the files online, and I ordered those from a PCB manufacturer. And that's kind of handy because then they'll put all the parts on there for you, or at least most of them, and then ship them. It's definitely not cheap. Is that it, right? Oh, that's the Chromecast, isn't it?
Yeah. That's what they look like, right? But that's just like the closed source version that you made you guys.
Exactly, yeah. But they got all the files on GitHub. You drag it all into the. I use JLC PCB. That's what they recommended. And they make them all up and ship them DHL, and they're in your hands but a couple weeks later.
Yeah, it didn't take long for us either. It was fantastic.
It is pretty amazing. I mean, I've done some stuff with PCBWay, and they do a good job. Sent me a couple weeks, whatever. But then it's like they put it in the mail. It's like 3 days later, the DHL lady in my case shows up with this box, and I'm like, what? How did that happen? But I guess you put it on a jet, you can go wherever you want in a day or so.
Yeah, I think with different projects, different products on Tindie, different sellers have different requirements, and so depending on that is the way you choose which PCB supplier you're going to use. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, what do you mean exactly? Like,
well, just with sometimes people just go on pricing, but other times people need layers, or they need special vias, or they want assembly, and also if they needed to buy components, some PCB assembly places have different kind of sources for the.
Yep. We had to use PCBWay. I forget which component on our board is not at the other choice we were going to make. I forget. I don't even remember who the other choice was right now.
But yeah, lots of different sellers on Tindie use the ones that you've mentioned, and sometimes people say that they're terrible, and sometimes people say that they're wonderful. So it's kind of,
yeah. I've had my one time buying an assembled PCB. I've been quite happy. So I don't know. Maybe there'll be maybe things will change. I don't know. So.
Yeah, and we're fixing to have Kenny's problem where you have to wonder, am I going to spend enough money to buy a car and nobody's going to buy anything?
Yeah.
That's not a big, like not a Tesla Model S or something. It's not that kind of money.
No.
But even so, a reasonable used car is what I've been imagining.
like a 2005 Acura or something. Something like
right.
that.
Is that what you're driving, Jeremy?
But yeah, so everybody's frozen up. Hopefully that's.
I can hear you still, Jeremy, but I don't see your video moving.
Okay,
You're moving again.
Okay, good. I saw everybody froze up, and I'm like, I guess that's probably me. Yeah, so Kenny, you've been. I mean, that's really really awesome. Your investment paid off like that. That's really really cool that you were able to take that leap and just figure out who all to communicate with. And did you get like a small sample batch before you got 1,000, or did you just go all in and
Yeah. So to start off, they sent just one little puck to play with, and they had it all sealed up. That first one, the samples they sent me. So I couldn't really easily get to the pins to flash my firmware on there to really test it well. But I just used either a plug I could find that I was able to 2U convert, or just the ESP development board. Make sure I have the pins mapped correctly and everything. And then when they test the product while they're making it, you send them a process to make, for quality control, to make sure you didn't really mess something up and have a lot of lemons on your hands.
Have you had many returns? Anybody unhappy with your product? Or, I mean, out of 1,000,
not entirely.
certainly. No. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
there absolutely is some, and I'm not entirely sure what to chalk it up to. I mean, partially, I don't think Tasmota has been. I mean, it's not very popular to buy a Tasmota product straight out of the box. So I'm not sure if that might be part of what it is. But sometimes, occasionally, a plug, somebody will have it, it won't show up when they open their Wi-Fi, the Wi-Fi thing on their phone. The plug doesn't show up as an access point, or that's the main issue that occurs occasionally. But it's not too terribly common.
Well, I've got to confess, I bought 4 of your switches, and they all worked initially, but one of them does not work. But
Oh no.
but the reason for that is I tried to run my laser cutter on it, and then I used the blower on it, and I think yours has a limit of 10 amps, or did, so it blew that out. So that was entirely my fault. But
bummer.
I understand your new product has what, a 15 amp limit? Is that the one?
The new one's going to be 15 amps. Yeah.
I'm excited about this.
Okay, so
Are you
that'll be cool.
replacing these? Are they all going to be the 15 amp, or are you going to?
Yes, I find that the new model is far improved. I don't see a reason to keep producing the puck version. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've talked about. I like the look of the puck version, but I understand. 50% more power. How can you really argue with that? So.
Yeah, more power monitoring, and then and just
power
the normal
monitoring
2
too.
outlet
That's
design.
I'm extra excited about the power monitoring. I'm really excited about the 15 amps. I used to automate my espresso machine with an old plug like this, and it used to just randomly turn off. And I think it's because it was tripping something in here. These are supposed to be 12 or 13 amps, and that should be just enough. But I bet it's really only just barely enough.
I'm trying to remember what product you get them. And it's like, well, they say it's the laser tubes, Pat. Because it's like they say it's a 60 watt laser, but really it's a 50 watt. But if you maybe so
Being extra conservative with the power consumption, the load.
But no, I definitely blew it out. I didn't know quite how much power that fan was gonna pull out, but it was pretty powerful.
I bet they use a lot right when you switch them on. I bet it's a huge, like when you turn your AC on, the AC compressor kicks on, and it's a lot of house battery. We've had a lot of power outages here in Texas, so we've been talking about batteries and solar and stuff. And a lot of the battery backup systems just cannot start your AC compressor. You need like 2 Tesla power walls minimum to start an AC compressor.
Well, I guess that's the thing too. If you have a power outage, I mean, I guess it wouldn't work if you don't have power. But if the internet's out, you could still use a 2 converted thing or a Cloudfree switch, which is awesome. And honestly, I'm kind of surprised nobody's tried to do this before. It just seems like I guess everybody has in their head like, well, we need to like own the data. We got to own the data, and that's just like, I don't know if that's just so prevalent that they just can't think past that. But I mean, as you've seen, people want something like what you're putting out there. So I don't know.
Yeah, it really baffles me that none of the major manufacturers have decided that local API access is an important thing. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I understand that most consumers just want to be able to buy it off the shelf at Walmart and plug it in, set it up on their little app, and a lot of people are happy with that. But so many of us really aren't. We want that local control. We want things of that nature, to be able to plug it in and automate it with things of other brands.
And we don't want things to change on us later, too.
Yes,
my friend Brian was complaining about I know you sell some of the sawn-off switches with Tasmota loaded, I think, in your store, don't you? And he had a whole bunch of sawn-off stuff. And then one day they changed. They said, oh, you're going to have to start paying a subscription fee to keep using their connectivity. And then the next week, if this, then that, started saying, well, now you have to pay us if you want to automate things. So then Brian was going to have to pay on both ends.
If you want to automate things, then the thing you have to do is pay us, right?
And you have to pay both.
Then pay us.
Both ends. He got really mad, and rightly so.
Yeah, I don't blame him. The S31s we sell are made for people. We do sell some stock ones that people can flash themselves, or we're willing to open them up and attach the pins and get those flashed so that no one has to deal with that.
I appreciate what you're doing. I guess the thing too is, you say, oh, well, most people do want to go to Walmart, get their thing, open up the app, do the thing. But the intersection between people who are going to do that are pretty technical people, or at least interested in technology. So I think there's much more than the general population is going to want to do, take control themselves. I'd have to guess, but
I'm Googling for Tasmota stuff on Tindie.
Oh yeah, that's right. You could got Jasmine here. You could put your stuff on Tindie. Although you're having no problem selling. Apparently, how long did it take you to sell out those 1,000 units that you bought?
Well, so I got the order in late August, and it started off kind of slow. I was able to get a deal where I was able to advertise on the self-hosted podcast from Jupiter Broadcasting. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Oh, awesome.
They do a lot of technically oriented self-hosting control things. And so that really helped pick things up. And then by early December, everything was gone. So
nice. Well, that's got to be a great feeling.
Yeah.
I remember poking around on Tasmota, like their website. I was like, when am I going to find something that doesn't require me to deal with this deal? And obviously, Cloud-free. That's what I want, and worked out really well. So thank you.
Yeah, it's very much appreciated.
I appreciate all the support, and I love the community. Can't wait to see what happens next.
Are we allowed to ask what you're planning next, or is it a secret?
Yeah, sure. No, not a secret. So once we get the biggest, right now we don't have any cloud-free plugs in stock. So when I first placed the order back last summer, the testing process that I had sent to them wasn't exactly what they were used to. It was kind of long, and it required, I wasn't super in tune with what Tuya's testing process involved or how quick it was. So what I developed wasn't all that efficient. And so this last time that I decided, I needed to order more, they kind of came back to me and said, you really need to work on this testing process. And between school and Chinese New Year delayed for quite a while, I ran out of smart plugs in early December, and I still don't have any. It's been super frustrating. But I got word this morning that they like the new testing process and the firmware, and so they're going to start bulk production here real soon. So it shouldn't be too much longer.
This is exciting.
All right. No, that's awesome.
Yeah. So after this, my next focus is going to be smart plugs for other standards for other countries. That's been a huge request because not everyone lives in the U.S. and Canada, obviously. So I have to branch out there. The biggest kicker there, though, is that if I buy it from China and import it to the United States, the U.S. tacks on the 25% tariff. And so that's a huge hit on margins to do that and then try to ship it out to its respective country. Mm-hmm. So I'm working on kind of well, I will be working on this summer. I'm taking some time off of the job I normally work to work on my little project. And so hopefully I can find some people who are willing to ship things out in their respective countries to avoid that extra fee.
Yeah, distributors in other countries is what you're looking for.
Yeah, that's something I've never really looked into. So what happens? You ship it to them, and basically they're in charge of basically shipping it from there, right? So it kind of cuts out another step on your end.
It cuts out the extra shipping it would take to get it to where it needs to go, and the big tariff that the government tax on.
Yeah.
So,
Jeremy, I saw you've shipped one of your Tindie products to the UK. And Tindie is always telling me, oh, somebody wants to order from, I've got a list of countries, and I'm terrified to do it. I've sent some stuff to Europe a few times, and the forms I've had to fill out and how much it costs and worrying about it getting there, it seems like it's terrifying. I don't...
Yeah, Kenny, you've started shipping worldwide using USPS. What's the international, what's your failure rate, or not your failure rate, but the failure rate of the packages once you
failure rate? So I've never had a package. I've never had a package that didn't get to where it was going.
Eventually.
And well, that's just it. There's especially Black Friday. From Black Friday to Christmas last year was absolutely awful for the Postal Service.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, things would just it would say arrived at such and such distribution center, and it would sit there for days, a week or two, and people are frustrated, and I'm frustrated, and we can't call anybody to really figure out what's going on. It was not ideal. I do ship internationally quite a bit, and through there's a or a shipping retailer, Pirate Ship, and you're able to find really cheap
That's the best name I've
international
ever
shipping.
heard.
It is pretty great. Absolutely. They've got really cheap international rates, cheaper than what the post office is able to get you through some partners, which has been tremendous for being able to ship international. And within a week or two, it gets to where it needs to go.
That's great.
Nice. Was it like this guy just kind of, we just, approach people at the airports, like, oh, can you put this, in your bag? Usually that's how locked up abroad starts, but I guess in this case it's electronics.
I'm not going to tell you which company this is because I don't want to get them in trouble. But I talked to a manufacturer once in Canada that said they're near the border, so if they ship anything to me, they drive across the border and put it in a mailbox. Yeah, they do that once a week or something.
Are you close to the Canadian border?
They're not supposed to do this. That's why I'm not telling you who they are. So don't you do it either.
I don't plan on it, but I don't blame them. I mean, even just to ship to Canada, just north of Michigan, I'm here in Indiana, it takes a week and a half to get through the customs is what takes the longest.
Yep.
Even though I don't know exactly what they're charging imports to Canada, but I can't imagine they're making a ton to delay it a week. I don't know. It's not ideal.
Yeah, I guess in my case, there's like a private postal, not private. It's not a post office. It's whatever. I don't know what you call it, but it's called the mail room, and the guy I give it to him, and he sends it, and that's
Oh, good. You didn't have to fill out any of when I shipped a couple of these OoberLights boards to Germany. They ask you, what is it? I don't know. What categories? I don't know. It's
Germany has special rules. It wants also the invoice stuck to the outside.
Oh, jinkies. I hope I did
so
that.
That they can check what the value is and what the item is.
Yep.
I sent something to our old host, Max Maker. I sent something to him for Christmas, I guess 2 years ago. And
Max is in Germany, right?
Yeah, Max is in Germany. And anyway, it was... I was happy to. It was like a little notebook, and I then embossed it with something I printed. It was pretty cool, but it cost me so much to send it. And then apparently we got to Germany. He had to go to the post office, and they opened it up and they said, "Oh, this has no value. You don't have to pay taxes on it." I was like, "Oh, that's a little bit insulting," but That's what he tells me. So, but he said it had lots of value to him. So props to Max.
That's very sweet.
That's nice.
So, yeah, international shipping. That's quite the ordeal. And I guess the thing too, on Jasmine, I think, so you go to the post office, it's one rate, and then I'll go to the mailroom, and it's another rate, and it's like, well, what am I really supposed to be? It's just hard to determine how much is charged. It's like sometimes you make money on postage, sometimes you lose money on postage, and sometimes
and the post office never tells you when their rates are going to go up. You find out, a week later when you've undercharged somebody by 50 cents. It's not a big. I'm not saying it's a big deal, but it's like, sometimes why doesn't that match?
Yeah, sometimes it is. I think there was a rate hike they did in a couple of years ago in January, and it went up by quite a lot, especially for larger orders. And people were like, we don't want to send, or sellers were like, we don't want to send this without being able to recoup the costs and things. We definitely do want to have a shipping quotes engine on Tindie, which will definitely roll out for US sellers first. But then it's dealing with it's dealing with each country individually.
Yep.
There's not really a blanket company that does shipping. So.
I would love if I could pay you guys to do the hard work for me, and I just have to print the label, put it on the box, and
we could try and integrate with like FedEx or UPS, but then those rates tend to be fairly too high for a lot of Tindie sellers. So.
Yep. And the post office picks things up at my house for free. I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
No, that's
coming from the UK
good.
and coming to the US, I didn't realize that was a service that you could do in the UK. That doesn't really happen.
Interesting.
Oh,
really?
How do you sell things? How do you send things in the UK? Then you have to go to the actual post office to.
Yeah, post office. Well, things may have changed since I moved, but I've always had to go to the post office. So.
Yeah, I guess you live in California now. You've been here for several years now, I guess, right?
8 years.
8 years, nice.
Quite a long time.
So.
But being able to do online shipping, like postage and printing, is really, really useful. I think with Pirate Ship, one of the things is that they tend to only do the priority mail a lot of the time. I don't know if they do for individual customers. I don't know if they do it for first class international. But I don't know. Maybe Kenny has a better idea. I don't know.
I'm not sure what you're saying.
So with Pirate Ship printing the paying for and printing the postage, they when I looked last time for international postage, it would only do the priority mail rates.
Oh, no, they've changed things since then. If that was the case,
Okay.
They've actually got a service now where, because the postal service hiked their international rates, and so Pirate Ship was able to find a way for you. They print you a domestic label to send it to a sorting center, and then they have Ascendia, which I think is related to the Swiss post office or something. They have them ship it international, and they're able to knock quite a bit off the shipping costs that way.
Wow.
This is in America?
I'm going to look at
Yeah. So I'm able to get things to Europe for $10 if it's super light.
Really?
That's fantastic. I've already punched in Pirate Ship over in my browser here to look at when we're done.
That's interesting.
It's
interesting it's interesting the intricacies of the post office. I mean, even DHL. I was talking to Max Maker again. Apparently DHL was the German postal service at some point, and then they became some sort of private international shipper. And I didn't quite. I'll be honest. I didn't quite. Didn't quite make sense to me because I just don't see. I could just imagine the U.S. Postal Service doing that. That wouldn't really happen. But I guess.
I think they were trying to do that.
Were they?
We're trying to privatize. I mean, it's what happens when national post services get privatized, or parts of them do. So.
I mean, DHL. I've been happy with them, but I guess I don't know.
How do you do your shipping in general for Tindie?
Usually USPS. I'm happy with DHL when they send me stuff from China.
Gotcha.
I've never used them myself. I take it to the guy in the mailroom, and he somehow is able to send it. So
I ship everything priority mail because I did math on how much it would cost me to buy packaging, and then, tracking and shipping on top of that. I was like, well, it's only $1 more to do priority mail, and they give me the box. It didn't make any sense at my very small volume that I'm at. I don't ship much stuff out.
Yeah, I think priority mail makes, if it's close to it, it makes sense just because of the included tracking. It's just so much more reliable, and then if it goes missing, you have some recourse. It's the best.
Unless you're like me and the only package that somebody tells you went missing, you forget to file a claim on it. You just send another one out and you forget about it. It's okay. It's not a big deal. But I felt dumb when I remembered it 3 months later. I'm like, oh, I could have got that money back.
You're really the killer CEO of your corporate.
I know, right? I'm fantastic.
You told me one time you have an LLC, but you're not quite sure what's going on.
Oh, it's got to be gone by now. It must have dissolved itself by now, right? 10 or 15 years later, it feels like it can't be that many years.
I don't know. Do LLCs dissolve themselves?
I don't know.
Maybe
it has
Jasmine,
it doesn't own anything. Or
I think you have to renew them every
many years. Yeah, 3 years or something.
I guess, did you open up an LLC for your Cloudfree? Is that Cloudfree LLC?
I did eventually, yeah.
Good.
I definitely don't. Yeah, liability is kind of another scary thing.
Especially with things plug into the wall.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, I try to make sure it has safety certifications and things of that nature. But yeah, LLC was one of the things I did pretty early on to make sure I was covered there.
Nice. And plus Cloudfree LLC, that kind of rhymes nicely. So, Pat, do you want to go ahead and take a little coffee break? And
sure.
We'll,
we don't get to leave for a coffee break, though, because this is live.
We should, before we forget about it, at least give a shout out to our Patreons, right?
And I heard you said we have a few more new patrons now.
Oh yeah, it's we do actually. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a little drink of coffee. Or you don't have to. It's just kind of something we say, but So anyway, yeah. So thanks you guys for watching, and thanks for watching. We always give a shout out to our top 5 patrons every episode. So this week we've got Miles Steele. Thanks so much for signing up. Alice Lopatka, Raptor, creatively spelled, Stuart Morrow, Positive Waves, and Stephen Booker. That may have been 6 people.
Was that the top 5?
Top 5 or 6 might be. How many was that anyway? I don't even know.
It was at least 5 minimum.
At least we give a shout out to at least 5 of our top Patreons. And maybe more. So thank you so much for your support. It's great to know, great that people support us in this, right? And Pat, where do we go if the people want to be a Patreon of the show?
Oh, it's
I always forget.
And I remember now. It's patreon.com/the Creativity Podcast with the in the front there.
That's right. Cool.
We'll put that on screen somehow.
Yeah, we'll get you back to your show, and we'll act like we're rolling the music or whatever. We'll probably put that in later. So, actually, Kenny, I was wondering about you though. You were if you're taking Calc 3 at this point, you're most likely a sophomore, right?
Yeah.
So you got 2.5 more years of school. So then at that point, you're gonna be pretty much have your own business, like ready to go, right? That'll be awesome.
That's the plan, yeah.
Nice. No,
I hope so.
I'm jealous. I had to get a normal job like everybody else.
Did you tell us what you're in school for, Kenny? Did we?
Yeah, computer engineering.
Okay. I understand that.
Yeah, makes sense. And Pat, you worked in you're a programmer by trade, right, Pat? Or
no, I'm a terrible programmer. I can get by, but I'm awful at it. I'm awful at getting specs. I'm awful at writing code. I'm slow. I should not write code professionally.
So yeah, Kenny, when you get out, you can hire Pat as your code man.
Hire me to write code.
What do you do? What do you do that's not code?
Oh well, in the old days, I used to be like a network server type guy, but I pretend to be retired now, and I have a podcast apparently now, which is exciting, and I have a blog, and I sell a few things on Tindie every now and then. That's exciting.
Yeah, that's we debated what Pat's the either if he wants to sound important, he'll say he's the head of the house, or if not so important, he'd say he's the house man, right? Or maybe that isn't. Is house man important?
I don't know.
Or is that...
I don't even know what he does.
We can't cut this since it's live, I guess.
It's true. Well, we can cut it later if we publish it as something, but you're right.
Publish it. Yeah, I guess, maybe, I guess we're just talking a little bit of housekeeping. We've been drizzling out an episode little by little because we just thought it was a little bit...
Trickling is probably the word you're looking for there. That's
trickling.
Probably a...
Incrementally? That's not even a word. Yeah, and I'm a professional writer, Kenny, so I'm pretty good with words and stuff. Kind of letting that one out little by little because we just thought it was kind of even though we sent it to our Patreons. In fact, you can access it.
The previous live stream you're talking about, Jeremy.
Well, the previous one, it was just...
just us as well, too.
Yeah, just us as well. So, that's something we've been kind of experimenting with it, trying to, put out some, I guess, clips, but we'll probably still put out the full episode for the most part on SoundCloud.
YouTube likes 5 and 10 and maybe 15-minute episodes. But when you're in your car and you can't change the channel, we like the hour-long podcast so you're forced to listen to us for 60 minutes.
When you're trapped and you can't when you're out of download range for whatever, you're not gonna pay for that extra gigabyte of data when you can just listen to the rest of us.
Kenny, do you want to see the home automation thing that I'm working on this week?
Absolutely. I'm always interested.
This is
in anything
fantastic.
like that.
You need to sell these. Do you know what this is?
No, I can't say that I do.
This is an airbag seat sensor for a car. They're about $8 on eBay, and I've got.
Really?
I don't have it plugged in right now.
Does it say Takata? Does it say Takata on it?
I don't know who. No, it says 3M all over the tape on the back, though.
Oh, okay.
But I'm making a sensor for my chair over here, so I know if I'm sitting down. I have this plugged into a Wemo or a Node MCU board with Tasmota loaded on it, and I've gotten distracted. I'm redoing all my home automation. I didn't do any of it in this new house since we moved in, but I just set up Home Assistant again. I started plugging your plugs in. I've got Tasmota working on here. It sees when I sit. Well, I haven't actually sat down. I just pushed the buttons on it. Tasmota sees it, but I haven't figured out how to get it into Home Assistant yet. I've got something configured wrong in the custom device stuff in Tasmota. But I just want this light to stop shutting off when I'm reading a book in the chair. And then it just goes dark and I have to look around.
Motion light?
No, it used in my apartment that we used to live in my office. This light was automated. And when it didn't detect I was in my office, I did my presence detection by if nobody's on my computer, if the TV's not running, I must not be in here.
Okay.
But that only covers, 2 out of the 3 things I might do in my office, right? So now I'm going to have a butt sensor is the plan.
Nice.
That sounds great. Is it just capacitive? Like it
I think they're just membrane. These are little puffy membrane switches, but they're like the dome switches, but they're not very domed. I don't think.
Huh.
But they.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. Just judging by I'm assuming it's conductive. Yeah, there's black lines and silver lines, and some of them seem to go. I have to assume it's just making connection. Boy, we might have to test this a little more. Yeah, because I don't think it'd be capacitive because this goes under the fabric in the car. So I'm not sure you would conduct any.
But is there 2 layers maybe? Like a layer of metal on the outside?
Yeah, there's
on both sides, and then something separating it in the middle?
There must be. I haven't. I'm afraid to cut one of these apart because I only have one so far to find out.
That's fair. I made a bed detection sensor.
Ooh.
I found a tutorial online. And they made it super easy. You take 2 sheets of aluminum foil, stick a sheet of paper in the middle of it, and it acts as a capacitive sensor, and it's able to detect whether you're in the bed or not.
And it's capacitive.
You wire both of the sheets of aluminum foil to an ESP32 because it has special capabilities for capacitive touch. And I flash ESP Home on it, and all of a sudden it's in Home Assistant and knows whether I'm trying to get some sleep or not.
I'm going to have to find out if these are capacitive. Yeah, well...
So what does that do? Does that turn off your light, or what is...
Yeah, I had it to where as soon as I lay down in bed, the lights turn off everywhere, and yeah, that's all I had it doing right now. I'm sure there's always something more to be added, right?
Of course.
Oh,
well, that's how
absolutely.
I need to turn my espresso machine back on, is when I wake up.
There
But the
you
trouble
go.
is I wake up before I get out of bed, right? I don't actually... I don't spring into action immediately
Yeah, I
in the
don't know that
morning.
anyone
And it
that
needs
does.
a half hour to warm up to be ready to go.
Usually I wake up and somebody's asking me for breakfast or something like that. So,
How do I
But
invite you
that's
to my
okay.
house, Jeremy, so I can ask you for breakfast? Nobody makes me breakfast.
Well, I
Jeremy as a service.
Jeremy is a service. Yeah,
Jazz.
usually, the kids want breakfast, and the dog wants breakfast, and then I got to go to work at some point, so I can buy the breakfast at some point too. So
It's important.
yeah. Well, that's cool though. So I guess that's your bed in back of you. So that's actually I guess that's your bed. I don't even know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little slow.
yeah, this
I'm
is
a little slow too, Kenny. I was wondering where he was talking about behind me here. So
This is
Yeah.
a lofted bed. It's actually an old lofted bed that I guess my aunt had. We had to go up in my grandma and grandpa's barn shed up in a loft, and there was just all these boards laying in a pile with layers of dust on top. And so we took them home and wiped them down and sanded it and painted it, and it ended up not looking too bad for being 40 years old or 30 years old or whatever it is.
I hope I don't look too bad for being 40-something years old.
No.
Yeah, you look great. You look like an alternative universe Eminem. I've heard people say that.
You need to explain this to me someday, Jeremy, or I need to Google it.
I don't know. I just thought, I don't know. The glasses, kind of like when Eminem got older, you see him. I don't know. You've heard me make ridiculous rap references once in a while.
I have. But I've
Yeah.
been seeing this meme that Eminem is basically exactly the same now as he was when we first heard of him. He still wears the same hoodie and everything.
He
It's
might.
He's not
He might.
upgraded to...
I kind of stopped paying attention about 5 to 10 years ago. So I don't know. I think I'm forever stuck in the early 2000s, late 90s
Me too.
or so. I feel like you're the perfect guests to come on together, because it's just like, well, you're both doing kind of the same sort of thing, having the same problems. Well, Jasmine's not having the same problems as me, but Kenny's having the same problems as me at this point.
I empathize
And,
with you.
Thank you. Jasmine knows what's going on. Pat, you want to go ahead and call it an episode? Do you think it's a good
I
time
think we
to?
could call this an episode. I think we've done a good job. Way better job
Yeah,
than I
I
expected.
think-
We have no idea how to do a live stream, you guys. This is...
Yeah. This is our second on this platform, or the first on this platform, second ever. First one went pretty well, all things considered, but this is a new one for us. Hey, have you been checking the comments on YouTube, by the way, Pat? I guess.
I was, but
'Cause-
then do you know what
'cause I
I did?
haven't.
I stopped because we went to look for pirate ship.
Because we may if we're ignoring you, we're
Okay,
not trying
it's
to.
all
but-
people I know that have said something, and none of it is something we had to immediately respond to. So
all people that used to be your friends.
yeah, no more.
I'm looking forward to the plug being in stock.
Oh, yeah. Yes, absolutely. Hopefully it won't be but a few more weeks.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
I've had to turn my laser on by hand like a caveman. So
Oh.
Yeah. Is 15 amps going to be enough for your laser, Jeremy? We'll find out.
it's fine for the. We'll find out next time on the Creativity Podcast.
If you enjoyed listening today, you should subscribe to our channel or something, and there's
Right.
a like button down there somewhere, and I'll leave links to whatever we've been talking about in the description as soon as I
Right,
get
right.
a chance to.
Absolutely subscribe. Hit us up on Patreon. Leave a comment.
Leave a comment. Tell us why we're wrong. But usually we ask our guests where they can be found, but
I assume it's a website, right? It's called
Cloudfree.shop. Yep.
.shop. Okay.
And then on Twitter at Cloudfree.shop as well.
Cloudfree.shop. And Jasmine, I guess Tindie.com is your domain. And so...
Yeah, should we be plugging anything personal? Like, do you want, like, Instagram or something? Should we come and see your crazy... whatever you have on Instagram? I don't know.
Not my personal Instagram.
No.
I haven't updated it for a while. It's like the last picture I think is from my work Christmas party from 2 years ago.
Okay. Well,
Not this Christmas. Previous Christmases.
You're having a good time then, I guess. Hopefully.
Yeah, with Sophie Kravitz.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
Pat, we can find you where at the head at patshead.com.
Yeah, I'm at patshead.com. It doesn't have my spinning head anymore like Twitter. I've never worked that into the new blog layout at all. I'm a little bummed out about that. Maybe next time. I'm due for a revamp of everything.
Yeah, aren't we all, I guess. So, but yeah, you can find me on YouTube. Just look up Jeremy Cook, or my website's jeremyscook.com. So that's because some other Jeremy Cook out there has jeremycook.com. So he'd probably appreciate your business too, though, or traffic, whatever he does. Anyway, thanks so much for watching or listening, and we will talk to you guys next time.
We will.
Yeah.
Have a good one. I'm going to hit the...
Thank you.
Oh, I'm not supposed to say I'm going to hit the stop recording button.
I keep thinking, like, my neighbors have outdoor lights, and lights are fine, but sometimes I like it to be a little darker. I could trick them, and here's some new lights from some new Cloudfree lights that you could install, and not tell them what's going on,
and you can turn them off, and you won't even have to use a BB gun anymore.
Yeah, anymore, exactly.